So it's match day 36 in the Premier League this weekend, and it's a big weekend. It's a big weekend in terms of the title race, in terms of the chase for European football, and also the relegation battle. So I'm going to predict all the games, give my thoughts, give my opinions, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. So let's start off with the first game of the weekend, the 12:30 kickoff at Anfield between Liverpool and Chelsea. Now, this is a big one for Liverpool. If Liverpool win, they essentially secure Champions League football, with them being 6 points above Bournemouth currently, who are in 6th. If they win this game, they pretty much secure that Champions League space. You know, six points with 2 games to go. They've got the better goal difference than Bournemouth. They'll pretty much secure it with a win here. They're on the same goal difference as Aston Villa, who just won their Europa League semi-final against Forest, so they're in good spirits. They play Burnley, which I'll talk about later on. But yeah, this is a big one for Liverpool. Liverpool are missing a few players. Obviously, we know mainly their attackers. You know, apparently Isak might feature against Chelsea. Apparently he's been training well, but he could miss the game, or he could start on the bench. So for Liverpool, it's looking likely, with the likes of Mo Salah out, that they will go with that false 9 that they did play with against Man United. You know, Florian Wirtz in the false 9. Sometimes it will be Gakpo, so Bosley will be making runs forward, Gravenberch in the middle with McAllister, so it'll probably look like that for Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? It will probably look like that for Liverpool. Before the United game, they had won 3 Premier League games in a row. They'd won a game against Palace, against Fulham, and then obviously there was that last minute Van Dijk winner at Everton at the Hill Dickinson. Obviously they had the PSG losses in the Champions League sandwich in between, but Liverpool did show good fight against Man United. Despite them losing the game, they did show good fight. They were 2-0 down, showed good fight to make it 2-2. So Bosley in particular, who's been their man of the season this season, he's been phenomenal, was driving that potential comeback. They didn't end up getting the win thanks to a Kobe Mainoo goal, but they did show fight, they did show intent, they did show flashes of what they can do. However, we go to the other side. Chelsea, they're in horrible form. They've lost their last 6 Premier League games, which is absolutely unheard of. They haven't won a game since that João Pedro hat-trick at Aston Villa, which feels so long ago. So with that being said, their best players like Palmer not being in the best of form, Cucurella, Caicedo not being in the best of form, along with other injuries to their wingers. I know there's a lot been said about the Chelsea wingers, about their lack of quality, but at least with Chelsea, at least their wingers could provide a bit of threat with a bit of pace. However, all their wingers are pretty much injured. I'm pretty sure Pedro Neto won't play. Garnacho, Gittins has been injured as well. Esteval, we all saw Esteval pull up with a hamstring. He's probably going to miss the World Cup as well. So they literally have no natural wingers. So going away at Anfield, I don't see how they can hurt Liverpool going forward, especially with no natural wingers. You know, it's probably going to be Palmer playing like an inverted right, maybe Enzo Fernandez playing like an inverted left position. I just don't see how they hurt Liverpool whatsoever. Also defensively, Reece James, he's not going to feature. Wesley Fofana is not going to feature. We're probably going to see a back 2 of Chalobah and Tosin. And yeah, I just don't see how Chelsea win this game. So for me, my final score prediction, I'm going 2-0 Liverpool. Just a solid 2-0 win. I don't think Liverpool will be troubled that much by Chelsea. Just a solid 2-0 win, which secures them Champions League football for next year. So let's move on to Fulham versus Bournemouth at Craven Cottage. Now, these are 2 teams still fighting for Europe. Fulham with more of an outside chance, but Bournemouth, they're right in the mix. They're in 6th place right now, and Bournemouth have had a great season in my opinion. Iraola, he deserves a lot of credit, and for me, they have a lot of good players. I like a lot of their players. I really like Alex Scott. I like Evan Nielsen, even though he could score more goals. I do like his overall approach play. They signed Ryan. Great signing. I like even the guys coming off the bench, guys who don't really get talked about. You know, David Brooks and Ryan Christie. I feel like them 2 very good players, along with, you know, Clivert, Tavernier. I think they have really good attacking options, even their defense as well. So yeah, Iraola's done a great job. They lost Semenyo. He was their talisman. I'm pretty sure before joining City he had scored, what was it, 14 goals, so you'd be thinking, yo, where their goals gonna come from? But they've done very well without him. I'm pretty sure they haven't lost the game since the Arsenal game that they lost at home. I think Declan Rice scored the winner that day, and it was back in January, I think. So yeah, they're unbeaten since January. They have had a lot of draws in there, but they've also had a lot of big results, you know what I'm saying? And I do think they will end up playing European football next year, because like I said, despite the draws, they have had some big wins. Remember, they won at the Emirates away, they went to Everton, won away, went to Newcastle, won away, and they beat Liverpool at home as well. So there's been a lot of good results for Bournemouth. Fulham, on the other hand, they're coming off that loss to Arsenal. Arsenal did give them a hiding, to be fair. Arsenal really did give them a hiding. That was probably Arsenal's best performance of the season. So yeah, they just caught Arsenal on a bad day for them. They just caught Arsenal with Gyökeres firing, with Saka firing. The Emirates was rocking that day. They just have to blank that out of their mind and just sort of look at this game now. Look at this game as a chance that if they win, they still have an outside chance of Europe. Obviously, the big news that I saw today was Bournemouth's right back Jimenez. He's got dropped by Bournemouth for doing very suspect things. The allegations are, he's been caught DMing 15-year-olds, which for me, you're absolutely crazy. Like, you're a Premier League baller, man. You could get so many things. You can have pretty much whatever type of girl you want, and you're out here DMing 15-year-olds. Like, weirdo behaviour. But he's been dropped. I thought he was having a good season. Anytime I watched him as a footballer, he impressed me down that right side, you know what I'm saying? Him and Truefair, I feel like they're a very good, fullback pairing. But yeah, he's doing dodgy stuff, so he's not going to be in the lineup today. But yeah, even though Fulham came off that bad Arsenal loss, I do think, because the game's at Craven Cottage, I do think Bournemouth might slip up here. So my final score prediction for this one is going to be 2-2. Okay. Now let's get into the biggest game of the weekend, potentially. If I know even potentially, this is flat out the biggest game of the weekend. We got West Ham versus Arsenal at the London Stadium. This is one of them ones where I'm expecting fireworks, because a draw does not do much for anyone. Both teams need to win. Both teams have serious things on the line here. It's relegation battlers versus title chasers, you know what I'm saying? If Arsenal win this, in my opinion, the league is done, because after this, they've got Burnley at home and then they've got Palace away. Burnley already relegated Burnley. I don't expect Arsenal to drop points at already relegated Burnley. Same with Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are focused on the Conference League. Around that time, they will already have the Conference League in their mind. I don't think they will be locked in for that game. Maybe the hatred for Arsenal, a London rival, will be enough to spur Palace on, but I just don't see it on the final day. If it does come down to the final day, I do think Arsenal will pull it out the bag. You know what I'm saying? I do think there's always a chance they could bottle it, as they've shown in the past, but I do think they'll pull it out on the final day, simply because Palace will have other things on their mind. In the Premier League for Palace as well, there's no sort of there's no sort of repercussions. They're pretty much safe, they're pretty much secure in the Premier League, as they always are. So when that game comes on match day 38, I'm pretty sure Arsenal will pull it out. So in my opinion, if there's any chance that Man City can win this Premier League, they have to hope West Ham can do something. They have to hope that West Ham show out, give a big performance in front of their home fans. And as for West Ham really need this. With Tottenham gaining form, gaining belief under De Zerbi, West Ham really need this. They need their players to step up. They need guys like Bowen, guys like Solchek to step up, you know what I'm saying? They need their new strikers to step up, Castellanos to step up, start scoring goals. They need contribution from everyone. But I'm very excited for this game, man. This game, Sunday 4:30, we will be there, you know what I'm saying? We will be there, because I'm expecting fireworks. Neither team can just sit back and sort of soak up pressure. No, I'm expecting a real, boxing fight, a real slugfest. London rivals. Arsenal have slipped up at the London Stadium in recent years. I always remember Arsenal in that first title running. I'll never forget the Bukayo Saka pen, where he missed the pen at the London Stadium, which ultimately was sort of the first domino to Arsenal ultimately bottling that Premier League title. So I'm very excited. So, but yeah, my final score prediction. Hey man, Arsenal, they're coming off the back of qualifying for the Champions League final. Their spirits are high, but I do believe West Ham have something for them. Maybe it might be wishful thinking on my part, but look, I think West Ham have something for them. I think West Ham won't go down without a fight, especially in front of their home crowd, you know what I'm saying? So, for this game, I'm going West Ham 2, Arsenal 2. I think it's going to be a banger of a game. However, before we even get onto the Arsenal game against West Ham, we need to talk about Manchester City, who played 24 hours before that game at the London Stadium even occurs. Nothing but a win will do for Man City. Anything but a win will pretty much guarantee an Arsenal title. This is why I say that this Premier League match day is very, very crucial. Man City have to get the job done against Brentford. No if, ands or buts. They have to get it done, or else the title will be going to the Emirates this season. Man City haven't lost a Premier League game since January 17th, the derby game against Man United, Michael Carrick's first game as Man United manager. However, there have been damaging draws. You know, we go back to when they were 2-0 up against Spurs and bowled that lead. Ended up drawing the game 2-2. You think about the draw at the London Stadium, West Ham 1-1, Mavropanos with a great header. You think about City at home against Nottingham Forest. You look at that one, and then we look at the recent game, the recent crazy game at the Hill Dickinson against Everton. Those 4 draws, if those 4 draws would have culminated in wins, Man City would be far and away. But we could say the same thing for Arsenal in their games that they drop points. But yeah, Man City have to win. I'm expecting a big performance from Manchester City just to get the job done. They are at home, but it will be a tough test against Brentford, who are also chasing European football. They're right behind Bournemouth, chasing European football. It's the battle of, you know, the 2 top scorers in the league, Haaland, and the unlikely player in Igor Thiago. But yeah, I'm expecting Man City to get the job done here. Get Brentford out of here. No disrespect to Brentford. Brentford do have players who can hurt City. Like I said, they have Igor Thiago. They have Dango Ouattara. They've got guys like Jensen in midfield who can play a pass. However, I believe that Man City, they've been here. They've done it before. They know what's on the line. I think they'll come in here. They'll be locked in. And yeah, they'll just get the job done. I'm expecting a big performance from Ryan Cherky as well, after him being slightly anonymous against Everton. So for this game, I'm saying Man City 3, Brentford 1. Okay, let's go to the City ground now for Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle. This game for Nottingham Forest, they need to bounce back from that disastrous Europa League second leg semi-final. It was a bad night for Nottingham Forest, you understand. Losing 4-0 to Villa in the manner that they did, to go to Villa Park and get dominated like that. I think at the City ground, there's going to be, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be motivation to, you know, right the wrongs there, you know what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure maybe Morgan Gibbs-White will be back for that game, giving them more of an attacking threat. You saw him on the bench against Villa in the Europa League, just face the form looking like Dracula, but I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be back, because for him to even be named on the bench for that game, he should be back for this game. This game for Forest, I feel like it pretty much, you know, just prevents them from sliding down into that relegation battle. Obviously, it's very, very unlikely, but just mathematically, I'm just saying, mathematically, it just sort of, if they beat Newcastle, it just sort of secures their Premier League status, and obviously it helps them bounce back from that disappointing night at Villa Park. This one's for the fans, you know, the fans are going to be up for this one, I feel like. And yeah, Newcastle, it's been a disappointing season for them, you know what I'm saying. It's been an absolutely disappointing season for them. Some of their signings this year haven't worked out. Johan Visser, he was slow to come in. Obviously, he had an injury. Voltemada, he had a great start, but he sort of faded. It seemed like Eddie Howe doesn't trust Voltemada anymore. He's been playing Anthony Gordon through the middle. There's been transfer talks about Tonali potentially leaving the club, Guimaraes potentially leaving the club, and yeah, it's Tino Livramento leaving the club as well. So it's just not looking great for Newcastle. They're just sort of in this grey area. I'm pretty sure when the takeover happened, when they beat Liverpool in that Carabao Cup final, they would have thought that they'll be doing a lot better than they are. I'm pretty sure they're 13th place, just sort of middle of the table, not a relegation, but not fighting for anything. Obviously, they were in the Champions League this year, but getting destroyed by Barcelona away from home in the manner that they didn't help procedures either. Forest are unbeaten in 7 in the Premier League. They won 4 of them. They've had a few good wins, a good result against Manchester City as well. So yeah, I do think Forest will win this game at the City ground. With Newcastle, you know, being uninspiring as of late, not really having anything to play for, I do think Forest will bounce back and give their fans a great performance at the City ground. So me personally, I think Forest are gonna really do Newcastle. So I'm saying Nottingham Forest 3, Newcastle 0. Let's go to the Monday night football game. Tottenham Hotspur versus Leeds. Now, Spurs, they're a team looking revived, looking rejuvenated with a brilliant win up against Aston Villa at Villa Park. Now, Villa, even Ollie Watkins after the Europa League final did say that all their attention was on that Europa League game, so the Spurs game, their heads weren't in it. But still, we can't take anything away from Spurs. What we saw from Spurs was great, you know what I'm saying? There were some great performances, especially from the midfielders, Gallagher, Palhinha and Bentancur. But more importantly than the overall quality of play, we saw a fight in Spurs that we didn't see before De Zerbi came in. De Zerbi's definitely instilled a great belief into Tottenham. I said it before that before De Zerbi, it looked like they were down and out. Van der Ven, I'll never forget that image of Van der Ven, the Tottenham captain. Almost, if you saw his face after the Forest game, after they lost 1-0 against Nottingham Forest, it looked like he wanted to cry. It looked like he'd already accepted the fate that Spurs were down. You know what I'm saying? So, De Zerbi is coming. He's done so well. Like I said, he beat Wolves and he beat Aston Villa in back-to-back games. When was the last time Spurs won back-to-back games? We don't know. It's been that long, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he's done well. Obviously, Spurs have had injuries this year. Another injury that's happened again is Xavi Simons. He's done his ACL, so we won't see him for a while. Again, that sort of removed the lack of spark from the midfield, the lack of creativity. However, James Maddison is back. He was on the bench against Villa, but he didn't play that game. Maybe we might see James Maddison come off the bench here and help Spurs do something, you know what I'm saying? Help Spurs create if he needs to. However, the way that Spurs played in that last game, I'm pretty sure De Zerbi is just going to play the same lineup, you know. Richarlison down the middle, Tell on the left, Moani on the right, Gallagher in the 10 with Palhinha and Bentancur in behind, because, hey man, they did play that well. That's probably their best performance probably of the calendar year of 2026. So I don't expect De Zerbi to change much. And this is a Spurs team that really do look like they believe now that they can stay in this Premier League. As for Leeds United, hey man, Leeds United, Daniel Farke, they went on a run to pretty much guarantee their safety. They had a big win at Old Trafford, and then they did scrape that last minute equaliser against Bournemouth. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it was Sean Longstaff. So they've picked up great results. However, I just personally feel like this is one of them games where it's just like the team who needs it the most is going to win. It's going to show out a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Leeds can definitely hurt them. They definitely have players on the pitch and even players coming off the bench. Guys like Okafor, guys like Aronson, guys like Nonto to come off the bench, Calvert-Lewin. They have options. They have guys, Mecha. They have guys who can hurt Spurs, you know what I'm saying? But I just feel like Spurs at home, really decisive game. I think they'll pull through. So my prediction for the final score is 2-1 Spurs. So let's go to the Stadium of Light, where it will be Sunderland versus Man United. Man United need this game to mathematically secure them third place, which I think is a great finish for Man United, especially because of that horror start under Ruben Amorim. They've won their last 3 games. The game against Brentford, game against Liverpool. They've won their last 3 games with the win against Chelsea, the win against Brentford, and the win against Liverpool. I feel like Man United, they're starting to click. Their front three is starting to click, you know. Cunha and Buemo, Sesko, they're starting to click. They're starting to play well together. I feel like guys like Kobe Mainu, guys like Aiden Heaven are really coming into their own, you know what I'm saying? They're really coming into their own. They're playing well. How Kobe Mainu wasn't starting games under Ruben Amorim. How Ruben Amorim thought that Kobe Mainu wasn't good enough to play in the United system. Especially when you look at his competition, the players around him. I will never know what Amorim was thinking with that one, man. We all saw Kobe, how good he was in his breakthrough year at Man United, you know, scoring in the FA Cup final, winning man of the match, and also starting in a Euros finals as well. So I don't know what Amorim was thinking there, but Kobe Mainu, he's shown his quality on the ball, especially with that strike against Liverpool. So yeah, Man United, they've been clicking recently. They've been winning games. Bruno Fernandes is still chasing that assist record as well, so we'll see if he gets it. He should get it. I'm pretty sure he's is he 1 away or 2 away? He just needs 2 to break the record. 2 in the next 3 games. I think he will do it. He's deserved it as well. He is United's talisman. You know, Anytime they're lacking inspiration, lacking a bit of quality, he's always there. He's always there to provide, and he just knits everything together. Bruno Fernandes never misses a game, and there's a reason why he's their captain. And yeah, in my opinion, they ultimately made the right decision by not selling him to Saudi in the summer, in my opinion. On the other hand, for Sunderland, since the win against Newcastle at St James's Park, the last minute derby win and the win against Spurs, it has been sort of dark for them. It has been very, very dark for them. We go back to the last minute heartbreak against Aston Villa, and then after that the 5-0 defeat at the hands of Nottingham Forest, and then them failing to beat Wolves. You know what I'm saying? Sunderland was everyone's favourite team at the start of the season. They were flying at the start of the year, but they've just sort of fallen off. They do see themselves in 12th, not really challenging for Europe. I'm pretty sure mathematically they potentially have an outside chance, just simply because how the Prem table's looking these days. But I think, yeah, they're not playing for anything. I think they're lacking confidence. Like I said, the 5-0 loss against Forest, along with the last minute heartbreak at Villa, I just see Man United taking this game. So me personally, I'm going to say Man United win this game. They secure that third place, secure Champions League football. And yeah, Michael Carrick's done a great job just to steady the ship, just to recover what could have been a disastrous season like the season before for United. So me personally, I'm saying I'm going Sunderland 1, Man United 2. Let's round it off with the last two games. The penultimate game I'm talking about is Brighton versus Wolves. Now, when it comes to Wolves, Wolves have been down for about 3 months now. We don't need to spend too much time on them. They're simply just playing for pride, here. Maybe some guys are hoping that they can put themselves in the shop window. Some guys are probably fighting for their future at Wolverhampton Wanderers, but we don't need to spend too much time on them. They've been gone since Christmas, you know what I'm saying? So we don't need to spend time on them. Brighton, another team chasing Europe, you know what I'm saying? There's no excuses for Brighton in this game. They have to win. Before their last game that they lost, they did pick up a few good results. I remember the Welbeck double against Liverpool. They drew to Spurs, you know. I'm pretty sure it was Ruta. Yeah, it was Ruta who got that last minute equaliser at Spurs. And then there was also the game at home at the Amex against Chelsea, where they absolutely destroyed Chelsea 3-0, which ultimately led to Liam Rosenwald getting sacked. So I think Brighton are one of these teams where it's like they'll upset a big opposition one week, but then they'll drop points against a team that they should be beating. You know, you see Brighton, they'll play a 3 p.m. kickoff game and they drew 1-1 to 1-1 to Fulham or 1-1 to Palace in a game where they should have won. You know what I'm saying? But I do think they have to take care of business against Wolves. I'm saying Brighton 3, Wolves 0. And then the last game I'm talking about is Burnley versus Aston Villa. Burnley, same with Wolves, already relegated, already down. They're just playing for pride in front of their home fans here. Aston Villa coming off a big week in the Europa League, smashing Nottingham Forest 4-0 like I mentioned earlier. And yeah, I think they'll take care of business, you know what I'm saying? Because even though they have got that Europa League final, which I do think they'll win, they can secure Champions League football that way. They'll look to just sort of cement Champions League football in the league as well, you know. Get that 5th place, get it wrapped up, over and done with. No excuses. It's already get relegated Burnley. I'm saying Aston Villa, 2-0 Villa. Actually, I was wrong. We got one more game to talk about. Palace versus Everton. Crystal Palace, I think they're flying after that Europa League, going through to Europa Conference League, sorry. They're flying after that. It was a great win at Selhurst Park. They got the job done. Everton, on the other hand, are feeling a little bit deflated with the Man City draw, losing to West Ham before. They do have an outside chance of Europe. You know, this game could go both ways for Palace. They could, take their foot off the gas and be tired after that Europa Conference League final berth. However, it could also reignite them. It could, especially because they're in front of their home fans. They could come out, they're feeling good about themselves. They're feeling confident, and they could beat Everton here. I think if the game was at the Hill Dickinson, I'd probably back Everton to win. But I feel like in front of the Selhurst Park crowd, Palace will be determined to just sort of keep momentum going up until that Europa Conference League final. So for me, this game at Selhurst Park, I'm going Crystal Palace 2, Everton 1. So those are my predictions for the Premier League Matchday 36. This for real is Judgment Day, you know what I'm saying? This for real is Judgment Day. Serious implications, like I said at the start. in the title race, in the race for the European places, and even in the race in the relegation battle.